Guys, if you send your trucks to Baltimore, Maryland, and you're trying to get a load out to Dallas, Texas, or anywhere for that matter of fact, please stop taking cheap loads. Okay, it is getting ridiculous out there. I saw one broker posting about actually bragging, which is another story all on its own. I saw him say, he got a crazy, ridiculous, insane offer from a trucker to get $4,000 for 1,366 miles. I would go as far as to say that this truck driver knows exactly what he's doing and why he is giving $4,000. He understands the regulations, he understands the fuel costs, he understands his other operating expenses, and he's still trying to stay as reasonable as possible to not break the bank of the shipper and to hopefully to leave something for the broker at the end as well. Okay? But it's ridiculous because this broker says, this carrier, this driver, this trucker is insane, crazy, ridiculous, that there's no way that this load should ever, ever, ever go for $4,000. So instead of negotiating with the carrier and the driver, he hangs up on him. He says, no thanks, even though he doesn't say no thanks. He just hangs up on him. He goes out and finds a carrier that has been doing a lot of loads for this freight brokerage that this guy works for. It's one of the bigger ones. They grew really fast, really in a short time span. They exploded, it seemed like, in terms of how fast they grew. But he said he was bragging about this other carrier. Oh, what a blessing. God bless truck drivers. Awesome. God bless carriers. Just because this guy decided to not understand his expenses, not understand how much money it costs to drive a truck down the road, and took the load for $2,800 on 1,366 miles. Okay, so $2,800 on 1,366 miles is about $2.05, a little bit less per mile. Okay. Now, at $2.05, I will bet you my half of my existence that this guy doesn't understand operating costs. Because there's no way in heck in this current day and age, this inflation that's going on right now, and everything that's happening, that he can remain profitable on this load, taking it for $2.05 per mile. Albeit this was a dry van load, but it does not matter. Even for a dry van, $2.05 is rough. And his argument to me is, you don't understand the market, you don't understand brokering, you don't understand freight negotiations, you don't understand Baltimore, Maryland. Okay? That's not the point I'm trying to make. Okay? Do I understand or do I not understand the market? That's not the point I'm trying to make. Okay, one, this broker goes and starts bragging about finding a God bless carrier for $2,800. That's one problem. Another problem, the fact that he thought $4,000 was ridiculous. What I would really love to see happen is for freight brokers like this to actually go out and get a truck on their own, or have their dad go sit in a truck and drive 1,366 miles for $2 a mile or sub $2 a mile. And I would like to see how profitable his dad is, or how profitable he is of taking this load in this manner. Okay, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we are allowing this to happen. I think it's shameful that brokers like this exist. I think it's shameful that there are people out there thinking that this is a good idea, just because that we that understand operating expenses don't understand the market. Apparently we don't understand the market. So you're telling me that if I send a truck to Baltimore for $3 a mile, okay, and I find a load for $1.50 a mile, I should be happy about that. I should be satisfied. I should be taking backhaul rates, right? Backhaul, remember that term? God, don't get me started on that term. But I should be okay if I take a load for $1.50 because I've evened myself out, right? I've evened myself out, and I think that that's completely fine, right? I've taken $3 in, $1.50 out, so I should be more than happy that I've averaged over $2 a mile, right? So you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is great. $2.25 per mile average to go into Baltimore and come out. What if your operating expenses are 240, 260, 280, right? Not everybody owns their truck. Not everybody owns their trailer. Not everyone runs on water, apparently. Um, what is this? Like, what is this? And the fact that, they get so offended when you say things like, when the tables turn, the drivers will eat. That was an offensive comment. That was a distraction. That was a deliberate attempt at offending him. Unbelievable. We need to do a better job as an industry, and it also starts with the truck drivers as well. It's not just about the brokers, it's also about the truck drivers making sure that they're not taking cheap freight either. Okay. If you guys need assistance, reach out to me. Go do your research online as well if you'd like. There are calculators available for you to figure out at what rate you need to take loads to remain profitable. And I assure you, it's not going to be $2.04 per mile. Okay. And so it's a shame that we have to have this talk every week, it seems. But here we are, and this freight brokerage. I mean, seeing these guys' Google review page and seeing their comments, just from truck drivers, from dispatchers, seeing their ratings on DAT, for example, in the review system. I mean, you can see how they treat drivers based off of those ratings. How many times it looks like they take quotes from carriers online. So they'll take quotes, and they'll even tell the carrier things like, yeah, yeah, book it, yeah, for sure. And this guy, poor guy, holds his driver for an hour. Next thing you know, that broker didn't even have that load. Specifically, this specific broker I'm talking about, they didn't even have the load. Oh, sorry, a customer covered it already, actually. Didn't occur to you to call back the trucking company? It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of time. I mean, imagine you took a load, book it, you look a man in the face, you shake his hand over the phone, and you tell him, 100% I'm going to get this done for you. And they come back to you and say an hour later, sorry, this load is booked with another carrier, or the shipper already booked it. So they didn't even have the load. It's a big pet peeve of mine in the industry when it comes to that. But guys, the overall message about this is stop taking cheap freight. Stop taking cheap freight. Stop taking cheap freight on load boards. Stop taking cheap freight because you want to build a relationship with a broker that wants to build a relationship just because that you're the one that's always open to taking in load for $2 a mile or less. And I'm not even talking about the buck a mile guys. Those guys have no clue what they're doing. But please, there's a lot of material, a lot of resources. It's not just me. I'm nobody. There's a lot of resources available out there for you to educate yourself as to what you actually need to run your truck down the road. So please stop taking cheap freight. How bad is it out there for you guys? Let me know in the comments. Share your stories as to what kind of ridiculous rates you've heard from brokers and what we can do to fix this. Is there an actual system? Because I don't want to just look at drivers as if there's just things that are behind a wheel. You guys are thinking bodies. You guys are Homo sapiens, just like the rest of us. You're human beings. So please, again, my dad was a driver for 15 years. He's had some great ideas over the years, and I'm sure you do as well. So let's throw out some ways as to how to go about this. But step one is stop taking cheap freight. If you like this video, please give it a like, a comment, a share, a subscribe to the channel. Does a lot more good than harm for you and me. So please do so, and have a blessed weekend, and respect to all the truck drivers out there. God bless.